everybody, welcome to the channel. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. It is really nice weather here in Ohio. It's deceivingly warm though. It's nice and sunny, but it's actually still, I don't know, like 45 degrees or something, but it's definitely getting better. We're definitely getting closer to spring, and that is really exciting for me. And real quick, before we get too far into today's video, I want to take a second to shout out everyone who has commented on the last couple of videos. I definitely love having conversations with you guys in the comments, talking about this stuff and getting tips and everything from you guys and suggestions and everything. So I definitely appreciate your comments and definitely appreciate your support. And now to the meat and bones of today's video. I have always wanted to put a set of fog lights on my F250, but it was the year 2000 and that didn't come as an option. So the bumper that was on it originally didn't have the appropriate mounting holes for it. But throughout this project and things that I've been working on, I actually ended up replacing the bumper with one that was said to be 99 to 04. So I believe that there are tabs there that I can now use to mount up some fog lights. And the tools and the parts that I'm going to try to use here, these are fog lights that I actually took off of my 05 Excursion. They came factory, and I replaced those on my Excursion with a 20-inch light bar. So I now have these. I don't have any of the mounting hardware, so I don't have any of the tabs or the bolts. I'm not exactly sure what I did with those. So I have some of these U-clips and some big screws. So I'm going to try to retrofit these onto the front of the F250 using these, and I additionally have a wiring harness. The wiring harness comes pre-assembled with the appropriate plugs to plug into the bulb, and the bulbs are these 90 degrees right here. And I'm going to be replacing bulbs with some of these LEDs as well. This is the first time I've ever used this style LED. It has the LEDs on the side, but it also has a projector lens and some LEDs that face out the front as well. So I will be interested to see what the difference is with these. So I'll be replacing the stock halogen bulbs and installing this harness, and then wiring it up to a separate switch here in the cab for now. Ideally, I would like it to operate with the switch like it would from the factory, but I don't have all that much time today to get that done, so I'm going to use the switch for now because I already have a hole pre-drilled from an old switch that I took out. So I'll just put this switch in and wire these up for now and see if I can get them to work. Now looking at the front bumper here, the first step that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take off these two bolts here on either side. There's two here, two on the other side, and in a lot of applications there's one inside here and one on the inside over there, but this bumper doesn't have it, and I couldn't actually find a place to mount or to put a bolt in because I've been told that there's supposed to be 6 bolts holding this, but there's actually only 4 on my application. It's definitely something I'd like to sort out at some point in time so that it's not just hanging off the front too there. We'll go ahead and start by using an 18mm socket and ratchet to loosen these two bolts. Now, removing the bumper by yourself is not a graceful process. Always make sure to get the engine block heater off of the bumper before you try to take it off. And upon closer inspection, it looks like the 2005 fog lights are just so radically different. I was really looking for a way to make these fit in some way, either mounting them on the back side like this and getting them down. No matter what, it doesn't quite fit in there correctly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a part 2 of this video and take 2. So we can see these are the fog lights from the 2005, and these are the appropriate fog lights for this model year of truck. Definitely different in a lot of ways there. While I was test fitting these, I noticed that I think we're hitting over here on this side. So I'm going to get a Dremel and trim off this little edge. And we'll just give that a little bit of a cleanup here with the sander wheel. Alright, I think we got it. Alright, so I have the other side all trimmed up as well, and I think we can go ahead and start mounting these. Do some test fitting. I'm going to use some of these clip nuts with some screws to start out. change my strategy a little bit. I ended up using some of these bolts instead to go ahead and mock this one up a little bit. I think that this bumper is a little bit out of shape, but yeah, I had to use these bolts. So I'm using some machine bolts like this with washers and lock washers, and I finally think I figured out which holes that they're supposed to be on. And if we look at the back side here, it looks pretty good. I think that that's where it's supposed to be. So I'll go ahead and finish mounting these up, and then we'll put the bumper back on the truck. Alright, so we have both of them mounted, really sturdy. And now there is the front side with it turned around there. I think they look pretty good. I think I still need to even out some of the material on this side to this side here as well, but this gray piece is actually going to get replaced. I have a new one of these. I'm not too worried about getting it perfectly trimmed right now, because once I install the new one, I will go ahead and take extra time to make sure that these look the way that they should. Also going to repaint these plates whenever I take off this thing, so those will no longer be rusty and look nasty. That will happen in a future video. Alright, so mounting the lights to the bumper was the first part, and then now we need to actually wire these in. Since that truck did not come with factory fog lights in the year 2000. So we have this harness that's designed specifically for fog lights, and I assume that this wire is most likely the trigger. You can actually go ahead and test that out to make sure that that's correct. Alright, so we have a 12 volt power supply here with a positive and negative lead. Okay, moment of truth. There we go. So this harness will do exactly what we want it to do. It will power up the two LED bulbs that I have, and I'll just go ahead and get this installed in the truck. Alright, so we got the harness installed there. I had to speed through a little bit of that since I lost daylight and it is very cold outside. It worked okay. I mean, I think that the harness was a bit weird in that the ground lead is really short, so I had to ground it to a screw right there. And then the power lead was longer, so I ran it and the trigger wire up through a hole right there. And then over here we have the left lead, and then we have the wire for the right one as well. And if we look at the top side view here, this is the single power wire that I have hooked onto the battery terminal there, and then coming up is this new wire in loom. So I had to add a whole bunch of extra wires, so this is all additional, but I'm going to run this across the top of the radiator here where I have some other wires already, and I'm going to run that into the cab to a switch. Alright, so now that all of the new wires are run and that harness is ready, I'm going to go ahead and put the bumper back on and plug in the lights there, and then we'll continue the installation inside of the cab. Alright, so we got the bumper back on, we have the lights installed, we have them plugged in, we have them wired as well. Alright, so as you can see here, I have a switch mounted up, so that wire that I ran through the firewall ran up here. I grabbed a 12 volt, just hooked it up to this here. This won't actually do anything because the key is off, so we'll have to turn the key on and then we can test this out. I think the fog lights were really cool. I think that they look really good. I'm really happy with how clean the install came out. It does help that that bumper is a replacement and not an original 2000, because I think if it was the original 2000 bumper, it probably wouldn't have already had the holes. And I've seen where some guys have had to fabricate some sort of mounting or brackets or drill holes to mount those and everything. So once I figured out where to put the fog lights and what direction it goes on which side, once I sorted that out, it was pretty straightforward to get those mounted. And then the wire, I think that it was a good thing that I had that harness that I ordered, that fog light harness. It made a lot of things very, very nice, and just plugging right into the bulbs of the fog lights and everything. That one, I did have to add a bunch of extra wire though, so there is that. I mean, it took care of the relay part, took care of power wires and all of those connections, and I think that this is definitely good progress. I think that the fog lights are super cool. I think that the bulb colors worked out pretty well. They actually match all of the other bulbs in the truck too, so that definitely makes me happy. As far as this one goes, I think this is where we will wrap it up, and I will thank you guys for tuning in, and I definitely appreciate your support. And if you guys like this video, please tap that like button, let me know, and let me know in the comment section what you think of these fog lights, and tell me how you think I did with the install today. So until next time, I will see you guys later.